Kakashi Hatake is an anime icon, a highly influential figure whose image is synonymous with the concept of cool mentor in battle shonen. In the context of the show, the copy ninja is a widely known and highly respected elite, feared for his deadly skills. However, this great man did not reach such heights on his own. He sits on the shoulders of a giant, who so happens to be his father. Who is Sakumo Hatake? The White Fang is a legend of the Hidden Leaf, the lone wolf whose name rings out even louder than that of the Sannin. The interesting thing about this statement is that it means Sakumo would be the biggest legend of the Hidden Leaf to ever not become Hokage, as these were the two that ninja from other villages feared ever laying eyes on. And yet, Sakumo was something of an enigma to us Naruto fans. We know very little about his abilities, his style of fighting, and even his personality is something we only get glimpses of. Some fans still hold out hope that we might see more of this mysterious legend one day, but until such a day comes, let's go over everything we know about the White Fang of the Leaf. I'm Zero, this is Kato, and today let's talk about Sakumo Hatake. Sakumo is the reason that Kakashi was regarded as a prodigy. In Naruto, you're only as skilled as your instructor, and Kakashi benefited from being taught directly by one of the greatest ninja the village would ever see. This meant that even before he went to the academy, Kakashi was proficient in stealth, kumite, kunai techniques, and chakra control. Even if he took a genin and put them in the academy, they would look like a genius, so it's not surprising that with this head start, Kakashi looked down on all of the other kids who didn't even know the basics of being a ninja, especially because he actually is a genius in his own right. Kakashi was the type of talent that the Academy hadn't seen since Minato and wouldn't see again until Itachi Uchiha, so even their instructors were probably impressed with him, but Kakashi was unimpressed with the shinobi in training around him. Perhaps this is because in Kakashi's youth, whenever he was praised, it was with the caveat that his performance was to be expected of the son of the White Fang. If it was fair to compare him to his father at such a young age, why not compare others to that impossible standard? So Kakashi is a big fish in a small pond, and in his mind is the image of a massive whale. Unsurprisingly, people thought Kakashi was an arrogant kid, although I don't think that is an accurate description. The truth is that he doesn't think of his own abilities as extraordinary, and he's clearly better than his peers, including a young Might Guy. One of the most important skills for a ninja is the ability to appraise others. As a team leader, you have to know your subordinates' strengths to lead them, and in combat, you have to suss out your opponents' weaknesses to defeat them. Sakumo's ability to determine someone's limits might be the best in the verse, as he was able to figure out that Might Guy would become a rival to Kakashi for the title of the strongest jonin in the village just by glancing at his scarred hands as a child. He might have known that Might Guy was the village's leading expert in forbidden taijutsu, and he must have seen that Guy had some aptitude for taijutsu as well as his incredible work ethic, because otherwise there's no reason to assume that Guy would actually be able to rival Kakashi in the future. If Sakumo predicted that Guy would be able to master the 8 gates, it would be a pretty impressive feat of foresight. Not every ninja in the village grows up to be Kage tier, just ask Epizu. But even at this young age, it's clear that Kakashi will reach that level of power when he fully matures. Everyone expects him to become an elite ninja like his father. It's not surprising that Kakashi looked down on ninja his own age if he was comparing them to Sakumo. This is a man who is able to stand out as a legend in the Hidden Leaf, the strongest of the shinobi villages. Even Minato, whose own reputation also exceeds that of the Sannin, describes Sakumo as a genius ninja, but we don't get much information about why that is. Just to briefly summarize what we know about Sakumo's abilities, we know that he used to wield this short sword called the White Light Chakra Saber, or White Light Blade for short, which he passed down to Kakashi. That's really all that we know. One could assume that Kakashi got the dog summoning thing from Sakumo, but since Kakashi barely uses that technique himself and Sakumo has 0 fights depicted on screen or page, we can only speculate. It's possible that Sakumo was just a shinobi whose reputation came from completing missions, which would be consistent with Kakashi having completed more than any other jonin in his time, but this would still be impressive considering the competition he had. It's worth noting that this is an era of Konoha with a robust Uchiha clan, with who knows how many Mangekyo users, not to mention the full-fledged Byakugan users of the Hyuga clan, the Inoshika Cho team, and probably some Senju still running around. Yet the biggest ninja in the village were from families with small backing, Sakumo Hatake and Minato Namikaze. There was also the classic interaction where Chio mistakes Kakashi for a young White Fang and attacks him to claim vengeance for her son and his wife, who died at his hand. While Kakashi plays along, Naruto intercepts the attack with sharp reflexes, but Chio is still able to one-shot one of his shadow clones despite her old age. Chio is a very bittersweet character, and a lot of dark moments with her on screen are played for laughs. This one gets a little too real when her brother Ebizo reminds Chio that she knows the White Fang is dead, and she says she was just pretending to have gone senile. Chio herself is a highly skilled and extremely famous ninja, so her child must have been quite powerful. Like most of Sakumo's feats though, it's hard to say how impressive this is due to how little information we have about the players involved, but it is worth noting that the puppets of Sasori's parents were very powerful, and a corpse puppet's strength scales to the puppet's capabilities in life. Sakumo embodies the theme of duty. The lesson that his death teaches Kakashi and us is that the lives of shinobi are less important than their duty. This is the culture our protagonists are born into. They are living weapons, and the more capable they are, or the more unlucky, the more responsibility will be thrust upon them. One thing that I find interesting about this story is that the one telling it seems to be really affected by it. He tells it in such detail and tries to make it a teachable moment for his student. It seems like Minato really relates to the situation that Sakumo was in, and then he actually was put in that situation. Minato was ordered to split off from his own squad to single-handedly save the Leaf because they were on the brink of losing the battlefront against the Earth, and unfortunately one of the young lives he had taken responsibility for was forfeited as a result. But when you're an important tool of your village, you don't get the chance to say no, even if your orders will force you to become scum. And to the ones who might dare stand up against the established paradigm, let the legend of Sakumo Hatake be a cautionary tale. In the end, Kakashi seems to absolve his father's actions. After all, Sakumo was put in a situation with no correct answer. Part of maturing is becoming able to see your parents as humans with their own flaws, and he's had to accept that his father's traits led him to his decision back then. If he had had different traits, he would have chosen a different option, and likely still lived to regret it. But at least his valor can inspire future shinobi to value their comrades, like proud ninja of the Leaf. Kakashi and his dad are pretty cool characters, so I wanted to give them the spotlight for this upload. Shout out to our supporters at patreon.com/KatoYT, especially Straight Idea. That's right, we're playing favorites now. Thank you all for listening to my dumb rants. Subscribe for more.